Hi everyone, Lori May here. I hope all is well. Welcome back to my channel. I've been sitting here thinking what I wanted to film next, and I was thinking all the content that I have for October because it's Halloween month. Not everyone likes horror movies or suspense thrillers or murder mysteries or anything like that. So I decided I wanted to talk about one of my favorite authors. She is a romance genre, but also she does suspense and murder mystery under a different name, but she also writes a number of different types of love stories that have amazing elements to it. And for October, I wanted to talk about Nora Roberts. She is probably one of my all-time favorite authors. I just absolutely love her books, and I think I've read everything with the exception of one trilogy, and I will eventually read that. But some of my favorite trilogies that she writes has a supernatural element to it. So for Halloween, if you don't go into Halloween Kills or anything like that, and you wanted to read something, it does have a wonderful love story attached to it, but it's surrounded by community and relationships and different types of employment. She knows how to research on different types of employment and make a story out of it, and I just love it. So I've talked about these books before. My first favorite trilogy that would be perfect to read for October, if you wanted to read something, is Nora Roberts' Blood Brothers, the book of the Sign of the Seven trilogy. And the first one is Blood Brothers, which you've seen on here before. And the second one is The Hollow. And the third book to tie up the story of the Sign of the Seven trilogy is book 3, Pagan Stone. And each story is surrounded by a group of friends, 3 boys who meet when they're young, they're friends from a small town, and something supernatural happens to them. Something amazing happens to them. But unfortunately, with fate and things like that, with all mystical, magical things, sometimes it's not in your control until you figure out what the story is and what you have to fix. And so these boys, every 7 years, the town goes crazy, and every 7 years, they're the heroes. They're the ones that have to put everything together. And there's a very special thing that happened to them in the woods so long ago that is helpful to them every 7 years. And it's gods and demons and supernatural spooky stuff. I absolutely love this trilogy. It's my all-time favorite. And what's fun about it, like I said before, it's tied around a love story. So each book has a woman that comes to town that basically the man in the book falls in love with, and they are the beginning tie to this story that lasts for 3. So by the end of the book, 6 people have to figure out how to save this town from what occurs because of gods and demons every 7 years. It is fantastic, and it's so fun. What I do, if Nora Roberts is listening, if Netflix is listening, this would be a great trilogy to write for 3 movies. It would be so fun to cast, and I keep thinking who I would want to play who, and it always changes, but it's so fun to figure it out. But these would be perfect to be made into movies, just like Fear Street, Netflix. Yeah, please, make it happen. But anyway, Sign of the Seven trilogy would be perfect to read for Halloween if you don't go into the blood and guts and gore of a lot of other things, or the creepy, crazy You, which I'm completely obsessed with. Again, thank you, Joe, for season 3. That's not a book, that's a Netflix movie. But anyway, that's the first one. Then my next all-time favorite, and these actually you don't even need to just read during Halloween. They're perfect to read all year long. I've said before, the Sign of Seven, I start reading for October because it does kind of go through the loop for the year. And then the next one I read, and I generally start reading this probably in the summer. I take it a lot with me when I go to the beach or just hanging out, laying out outside, is the Three Sisters Island Trilogy. Now, these books are three women who each have their own book and their own story, but they're this amazing relationships between them, the amazing community, and each one has the love story that's attached to it. The first one you have is Dance Upon the Air. Dance Upon the Air. And this is a really good one. This is, this starts it off. Nell comes to town to Three Sisters Island, which is this island off, I think, the coast of New York. It's absolutely fabulous. She doesn't know that she's a witch. She has no idea. But the woman, Mia, who ties in, the third book is Mia's, as she knows everything about Three Sisters Island. And really, these women, the three of them, have to take care of the Three Sisters Island from a spell that was put on it years ago for a reason. And they have to come together to fight this demon that is trying to overrun them and overtake that island and just destroy it. So these are witches. And what better time than October to read about witches? And again, it has a love story tied into it. So Nell's story is Dance Upon the Air. And then you have Heaven and Earth, which is the second book. And it's Ripley Todd's book. And Ripley and Mia were best friends from long ago. So their story throughout all three books is really fun to read, about best friends who go through everything and something happens and then they finally come together. It's a beautiful story. So Nell's the first book, Ripley's the third book, and Mia's book, I cannot find, I think I left it in my car, is Face the Fire. And Mia's story ties in the town of Three Sisters Island really, really well. And there's community and there's relationships and there's just this small town feel, and it's on a beach, it's on an island. And so if you start reading it in the summer and you kind of end around now, which I normally do, if I can find her book, it's a lovely story. They're witches, so you'll have all things spells and blessings and how witches are nowadays. And very easy. It's nothing horror about it. There are some creepy suspense moments, but mild, I think, definitely mild. So Nell, Ripley, and Mia, that's Three Sisters Island. And that's the second trilogy of Nora Roberts that I love, that has all these supernatural elements to it. Now, the most recent one that Nora Roberts has written is so fantastic that I needed to buy it and keep it in hardback cover. And I just will break my hands reading this and holding it in my hands because I just wanted it in the hardback cover. This story is Chronicles of the One, and I don't know if I'm right. I haven't looked it up to see what she says about it, but these are the first books that had a young adult vibe to it, really, that could be YA if she wanted to go that route, but it had a love story attached to it through every book. But it's about the rise of magics, and it's fantastic. And it reminded me of Terry Brooks. It reminded me of David Eddings. Fantastic story. You have to read this. If you like fantasy fiction, magics, that kind of world, this is perfect for you. But it's set, you get a lot of the story from the background from back in a different time, but each story is set in really modern time. But what happens, actually, I just realized, what happens when some kind of pandemic runs through the world, but it's really about magics and demons and people who are here to save the world and their fates and everybody that ties in to the community and starting over with all the stuff and the knowledge that we had from our prior world. And it's just fantastic. So if you love fantasy, Halloween is the perfect time to start reading that. But again, you can read these books from her at any time. In year one, Chronicles of the One in year one. Fantastic book. Absolutely wonderful book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And then it goes on to book 2 of Blood and Bone. And then book 3, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, we're all looking for that epic showdown. And it has it. It has it. And it ties the story in so well into this new age, this new world, with all of our experience and knowledge, but magic returns to the land. I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Book 3 of Chronicles of the One, The Rise of Magics. So during Halloween, if you want to have a young adult fantasy fiction novel with love stories streamed all the way through it, and again, beautiful relationships and just really good detail about everyday things that we have knowledge and experience. She's absolutely fantastic about writing those. And those are my favorite 3 supernatural, Wiccan, young adult fantasy books by Nora Roberts. But I'm so excited. I have something to share. Her newest one has come out called The Awakening, and I just started reading it, so I don't know a lot about it, so I'll probably share in November during my birthday month my favorite thing about it. But it's the Dragon Heart Legacy, and it's The Awakening. That's her newest fantasy genre novel, and I'm sure there'll be 2 more. I can't wait for that. That are my choices, my recommendations. If you don't go for the horror route or the murder mystery suspense thriller route for Halloween for the month of October, that any of these trilogies probably will give you a really good read. If you love love stories, if you love supernatural fantasy, witches, ghosts, all that kind of thing, these are my favorites that I absolutely love and I pull from every year, and I think you'll love them too. Thank you so much for watching, and soon I am going to be coming back on Friday. I think it will be Friday before Halloween with my favorite Halloween horror movies of all time, and there are a lot of them, but we'll see what I do. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye.